Are you trying to dominate your fantasy football league? Do you want so many championship rings it's impossible to sign autographs? Well, crack open a beer, pour yourself a glass of bourbon, and settle in, because you've come to the right place. Welcome to Hammercast. We're here to talk all things football, barbecue, bourbon, and beer. Here are your hosts, Kenneth Smith, David Stidham, and Chad Taylor. It's time to grind.
And hi, everyone. This is David Stidham, Hammerjack, and I'm with Hammercast, and I'm going to do a very quick report for you tonight on my top three quarterbacks for 2020 and three reasons why. Let's just call it the T3 report. First and foremost, let's jump right into it. No big surprise here. Number one quarterback going into 2020 is none other than Pat Mahomes. Obviously, he finished seventh last year, but you know the drill. He hurt his ankle. He was out for a couple of games. He was dinged up, and he still finished top 7 overall. Obviously, we also know that he's not going to have the same kind of numbers that he had in 2018 where he had over 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. That's just not sustainable, and we know that. But I do believe he's by far the best overall quarterback in the league. I believe he has the highest upside, and he's maturing. He's only getting better. And a perfect example of that is he actually cut his interception percentage in half last year with a lesser year than a year before. He went and here's the funny part about that. It went from a 2 to a 1. He's got a 1% touchdown percentage. Interception percentage, and that's just amazing. He's also had the highest win percentage of any quarterback in the history of the NFL for his first 2 seasons. Higher than Tom Brady, higher than anyone. And when you think about that with what happened in 2018 versus what happened in 2019, I believe that that just sets the stage for a very, very lucrative career, not only for him, but for the Chiefs and for all the people out there that own him in Dynasty or redrafts or play him in DFS. I do believe he has the highest ceiling in the league by far. And because you know what, even though he doesn't make a living with his legs, he can use them, but he's also got the amazing imagination, the arm strength. He's got the offensive coordinator. He's got Andy Reid. He's got all those tools around him. He is by far clearly the only quarterback I have graded for a first-round pick. That doesn't mean I'm taking him in the first round, but if I take a quarterback in the first round, if things didn't fall the way I wanted them to fall, Patrick Mahomes is the only one. Lamar Jackson, Dak, Kyler, none of those guys I'm ever going to take in the first round. But Mahomes, if it comes down to it, he's my guy, and he's the only one worthy of that spot. So there you go. Number one by far, Pat Mahomes. And there's no reason to even consider anybody else besides him as your first quarterback off the board. Okay? So that leads me to number 2. Many of you guys are probably going to say, well, here comes Lamar Jackson. He was clearly, by a long shot, the number 1 quarterback last year. But he's not my number 2 pick for this year. My number 2 quarterback for 2020 is Russell Wilson. I love Russell Wilson. He's been in the league since 2012. Did you know that Russell Wilson has not missed a start in his career? We got another Brett Favre potential here. He has never missed a start. He's played every single game since 2012, going into 2020, and that makes him, in my opinion, the most risk-averse quarterback in the league. That's a big thing, and that's money in the bank you can count on. And he also finished 3rd last year, and 2 years ago he finished as the number one quarterback. People tend to forget that. He's been in the top 3 times. He's been number 1 time, and I believe this year that running game is not quite as solid. Chris Carson we still don't know his full status from the injury he had. They've got a young rookie there. They picked up Carlos Hyde. When you have that many running backs, that means you don't have a running back. I believe they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball okay. They always figure it out. But I also believe that Russell Wilson is going to have to do more than he did last year. He just is. And you know what? With DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, adding Greg Olsen, I believe he's up to the task, and I believe he's going to have a great opportunity to get back up there in that top 2 range, but I'm sure he's going to get in the top. He's going to repeat in the top 3. I've got him bumped up just a little bit to top 2, and I believe that's where he's going to be. Feel very confident drafting him. It's going to be preference at this point. A lot of people love that upside of some of the other guys that I'm going to talk about, but for me, I'm taking Russell Wilson as my number 2 quarterback. And so, and you know what? I'm probably going to get him over Lamar Jackson anyway, just because I don't draft a quarterback until rounds 3 or higher, depending on the scoring system, the format, et cetera, et cetera. And in most leagues, I'm seeing Lamar's going first round, if not early second round. And that's just the way it goes for me. And so that does bring me to my 3rd quarterback for this year, and it is Lamar Jackson. Okay, it was really close. As a matter of fact, a week ago, it was Dak Prescott. Okay, and I moved it back to Lamar Jackson just because of that rushing floor. Now, I do see the rushing floor coming down. As a matter of fact, I got it coming down considerably from the 1,200 and something last year to 900, 920 to be exact. That's a significant decrease. But I actually believe he might increase the actual touchdowns. But ultimately, I love to look at game script, and a lot of people take that for granted, how important the game script is. If you look at a lot of the sites that do a lot of evaluation and rankings, the NFL overall team schedule or team rankings, they have the Baltimore Ravens with the easiest strength of schedule of all the teams. So they're number 32 in their strength of schedule. That means they're going to be favored in pretty much every game they play. And I believe they're going to get the lead in pretty much every game they play. And if you haven't looked recently, they've got an amazing running back room, from Ingram to Edwards to the new running back they just drafted, who they had a first-round grade on, J.K. Dobbins, and then they still got Justice Hill. They've got a stacked running back room. They've got they shipped off Hayden Hurst. They've got Mark Andrews. Hollywood Brown will be healthy. They drafted a young guy, Duvernay. I believe they're going to be ahead in most of their games. And we also heard both Coach Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson himself say that they don't want to have him have to run for 1,200 plus yards this year. They want to protect him. They want to get him more efficient through the air. And but a lot of his value came on those runs. And so ultimately, I have him regressing. No one, and we saw it with Mahomes from 2018 to 2019, no one can maintain that type of passing efficiency. He had an incredible year. Good for him. I love him. He's very talented, but he's my number 3 quarterback for that reason. I believe the regression is coming. I believe the game script is going to keep them running the ball, and they're going to have a great season, but he's just not going to be one of my top 2 quarterbacks. The wild cards were, I kind of alluded to it, Dak Prescott, and I'm going to throw in Kyler Murray as well because of that rushing floor, and the addition, of course, of DeAndre Hopkins. A lot of fun things. I hope this season even happens. I'm going to give you guys a full report of my top 10 coming up very soon with a lot more detail, a lot more analysis for the pod. But I just wanted to come to you real quick tonight, give you a real quick 3 reason why for my top 3 quarterbacks. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and or a nice comment. Hopefully you're enjoying the content, and we hope to see you next time. Take care, guys. Peace.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.